Hello, everyone, and welcome to Carla's Web3 Fireside Chat. And this is episode 6. My name is Lam, your Web3 host. I am joined by my co-host, as usual, Raigal. She's joining in from Berlin today. Okay.
Hi from Berlin. What's the topic today?
Yeah, today we'll be talking about decentralized science. And I think it's one of the very underrepresented topic of Web3, even though it's using a lot of the Web3 technology to drive innovation and progress in science, but it's very much underrepresented. So that's a topic that we would like to maybe bring forward the attention to everyone.
Yeah, so first of all, what's decentralized science? When we go like to the Sion Foundation webpage, actually it's pretty simple. It says like open alternative to the current scientific system, technology that enables scientists to raise funding, run experiments, share data, distribute insights, and more, and also builds on open science movement. That I guess it's like kind of open source movement. But I don't know, like if you can make an idea actually about what DeSci is just with this description, because I feel that it's like very basic. Like it, first of all, it's like what is science right now? What do you understand for science?
So science, from my understanding, also from my university time, is like, isn't it the pursuit of knowledge through the scientific methods or some other fields, right, to drive forward new innovation and discover new knowledge of mankind? I would say that's probably science, right?
That will be like the scientific like as a procedure. The thing that here we will have like another question is like who is doing science right now? So actually science, I will say like there is two sectors, public and private. One it will be academia, universities, researchers, public researchers, and also like private companies as pharma. It will be one example of research, scientific research, etc. So here is like what problem science have. I mean, it has a lot, and also like run experiments or connect with other researchers to share data and also distribute it like the information and make it public. And actually the conversation would be like endless if we talk about what problems like academia researchers and also like science face, because yes, it's always one of the sectors that less funding are receiving, despite it's very important for society. And actually what they are doing is just creating public goods.
I think we should here, maybe can you elaborate more on some of the problems? I think the one that I have on top of my mind is a lack of funding, or maybe the difficulty in obtaining funding, right?
Yeah,
they have to write
that is a fact. Like that is traditional science, and I wanted just to point them before like jumping in how DeSci, like decentralized science, can solve it. Like public universities or many countries, they don't have actually a budget at all for science, and researchers actually they don't have like good like job opportunities. And some it's not like a sector you do it because of love, not because of actually economical incentives at all.
Yeah, and maybe we can also talk about the process of obtaining grants is very time intensive and take away from the actual work of doing research.
Yeah, right? Here will be like the share of data. The thing is like at least in universities, the system how it works is like, of course, to get funding from the university, you have to prove that you are doing your job. And the way in academia to prove that you are doing your job is actually by academic publications in a few magazines that are recognized. The problem is like, I don't remember the name. I think you know it, but it was a fee.
Article processing charge.
Yeah, the article processing charge. Actually, they have to pay like high fees that can be like $10,000 just to get your paper reviewed and may get published in the magazine. So there is like a extremely big centralization of that.
And this is also just to emphasize that this is also open license paper, right? So
exactly.
Even for open license paper, which is kind of an oxymoron because you want to share knowledge with the world. The paper is actually technically free, but you have to pay a huge exorbitant sum of money to get it published. which I don't think really makes sense, but I guess that's how the academia publication industry works at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Like now when we jump into like what is decentralized science, because decentralized science is very early, and I feel that it's still trying to figure out how to solve that problem. There is a few projects that actually they have been successful, like they are doing good, solving some of the funding problems for independent research or private science. When it's like molecule, we will check them after. But this science, I guess that focusing that two areas like funding and also sharing knowledge. Most of the projects are very early. We are like DeFi in 2019. So DeSci is just starting. Like one of the popular solutions actually for the knowledge solutions is knowledge graphs, where you actually can publish the information free, open, and also share it and connect it to others.
Knowledge graph is a pretty interesting topic. Do you have an example to share about the knowledge graph?
Yes, there is a few. Actually, one of the company I'm working for, that it's a DeSci project, DeSci Vault. We are building a proof of knowledge, mainly for academic publications. We are planning to launch actually in September. And it's like a knowledge graph to also like incentivize and reward knowledge and publications, and also connecting by topic the people. One of the goals is again economic incentivization of the publication, but the graph itself allows you to way more, because it can allow actually to connect different researchers groups that they may not know each other, but maybe they are researching in a similar topic, so they could like coordinate and actually cooperate, because that is another topic. Like you have like a lot of labs all around the world that maybe they are working on similar problems, but they don't have actually how to connect each other.
Yeah, that's very good point.
Yeah. So actually, we have some examples, especially about different DeSci projects we could check, and then maybe we can talk about what they are doing, etc.
Okay, sure. I think that'll be great. You want to share a link for the knowledge graph just to illustrate that concept?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let me share actually that it's the documentation. Here I have like our documentation, and mainly like there is other examples, etc. But that could be like one of the community as a service that actually is like the client has a project. It's so here you have the contributors that could be anyone, so they can join and onboard, and then they get compensation, so that it's kind of the cycle. And the question is like where it's coming from. Actually, it's coming like from the community. That could be like public goods or like funding, like for example, um, different quadratic funding platforms, also governance or treasury products service. So that will be the community, and the community will be like the knowledge graph. That's a random example I just found. But actually, what you can see is like actually it's a knowledge graph about Harry Potter. But I think it's a fun example. So here you have Harry Potter, and it's connecting actually all the characters of the book and how they are related to each other. It will be more a social graph, but at the end, it's just like a network that interacts to each other, depending of connection, IRL, or in the case, it will be like the topic or something in common. So it works the same, and you can see actually how everything is related.
Each of the connections is like go on an edge from one to another, and then each of the point is like a node. It's actually, I think there's a graph theory class I did in data science back in the day. Yeah, this is actually a very beautiful example. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. So I guess we can probably quickly just talk about how DeSci will improve traditional science. Right now that we probably understand well about some of the problem facing traditional science, how can DeSci make this better?
I think we have already commented it a little bit. I guess that there is like different solutions. One it will be for funding, that it's like by public goods, donations. It's also helped to redistribute and make sure that the money goes to the researchers. It doesn't get lost in the way because of corruption, and that it's kind of thanks to blockchain and other technologies altogether. like ZK, also for privacy. It's still like figured it out. There is a few solutions, but funding, I think it has been the biggest one. And the second, it's like what we were talking, that are like the knowledge graphs.
Okay, I just want to add that I guess NFT would probably be one way of raising funding, NFT or token, right?
Yes, and actually it's how it's being used. They are called intellectual property NFTs.
IPs,
It's like the IP NFTs are like Molecule, that it's the company I mentioned at the beginning, that it's part of BioDAO, that it's one of the DeSci projects. Actually, they are working in that legal intellectual property NFTs for funding, but they don't work as much with public research. What they are working is with more private research or independent researchers, funding like labs and also research topics, and then the money goes directly like to the researchers or the team itself.
Yeah, which is so much more beneficial, because I can already imagine that with even when you get a grant, right, probably not everything is going to go toward your research. You still have to pay for the overhead costs and maybe other expenses along the way, right? Yeah, like publication, for example.
Exactly. But even though like it helps a lot, because if not, for example, okay, that's private, but in public research, they also have the problem that the structure itself, it's kind of complicated. So if you are donating to an university, until the money arrives to the researchers, it's crazy. Because first they are like the university and they take their piece. After there is the institute inside of the university and they take their piece. After there is a department and they take their piece. Now, after the department, there is maybe like the teams, and every team, well, the money is distributed somehow. And inside of the team, after is the researcher itself or the research, the topic, and then it's like, well, it doesn't arrive much. With actually DeSci and blockchain, you can help to actually fund the researchers teams directly. So you can avoid all that kind of bureaucracy structure that many times it's corrupted. So the money actually never arrives to science.
Nice. Yeah. And it's also very transparent. You can keep track of it. I think it's more transparent than the current system, right? Very opaque. Even the criteria itself for funding can also be opaque. You don't know what it is. Whereas here in using blockchain technology, well, in the smart contract, you can basically encode the actual criteria for people, right? I call it like similar to like the Gitcoin grants round, funding round, things like that. So that way, once you have written the rules, you cannot change it. Make it a much more fair environment, in my opinion. I just want to share quickly here a brief picture of like the potential on the current ecosystem here in DeSci. I think we've talked a lot about funding. I think there's a lot of companies who are doing research. I think data publishing, there's also a company trying to upend the existing publishing review system. I think ecosystem, the like ecosystem and communities are basically, I guess, community and DAO that support, right? Or infra and service as well. These are pretty cool. Art, probably just like you said, like the NFT fundraising, data. I think data, how to store a lot of these very huge chunk of data on online on the blockchain. I think there's a company who's trying to fix that as well. Data collection and data management. So those are like two separated. It's pretty cool. I think there's a lot of thing here to break down, right? I was just very excited about seeing this whole picture.
Like this one. Actually, like here it's kind of like to search, and Molecule is the one I was mentioned, but we also have like different interest groups. For example, you have Bio, you have LabDAO, you have BetaDAO. And BetaDAO, for example, they are doing research about longevity. You have Longevity DAO, Cure DAO, Antidote DAO, but also you have other areas of research that maybe they are minorities. For example, I know that there is like, well, Hair DAO, they are investigating actually about hair, etc. But you also have Asena DAO, hair loss, etc. But you have Asena DAO, and Asena DAO, for example, they are trying to get funding for research about women. That Asena is like the Greek goddess about women. And they are trying to make science also more fair, because many times, like, the industry is the industry. Many times when they are trying to research something or test something, they wanted to make it profitable. So many scientific, like drug trials, are on the other topics, actually they don't consider women or different aspects of women, because that makes like more difficult the process to get approved. What actually it's crazy, because after like it's half of the population that gets actually non-tested or forgotten about. I guess that there is also that kind of doubt that they are trying to make science also more fair, and trying actually to bring funding for other topics than maybe the ones that could be profitable for pharma or for other industries.
Yeah, I think this is also a problem that affect artificial intelligence, which is also science, right? I mean, in a way, like because computer science is technically science. So yeah, I think what we've seen in a lot of the machine learning AI system is that I think most of the data is you train on, for example, white male. So if you're leaving out a lot of the minorities and even female, right, participant, and then once those data or once those models being deployed in production, and then you realize that it's giving bias, right, resulting in bias towards minorities. And for example, we may have a loan application that use AI, and the AI model is inherently having bias against minorities because of the underrepresentation of those minorities in the data. Yeah, so I'm actually glad that DeSci is tackling that.
Yeah, and actually, like, sometimes it's not even, I guess, like it is not represented, because it's a topic that if most people knew, they were concerned about, but information doesn't arrive to the population. Like a lot of details, like last year was the first time in the history that the car crash tests were used with models of women, like female models. Before, they were just considering that women are like little men and that's all, like they were putting like less weight. But that's crazy, because like we already know like our gravity point is different. So of course, like in a crash test, how all the security system work on the body is going to work different. And that ended in I think it was 70% more of chance of high injury for the belt in a case of traffic accident, because like they were just not testing with female bodies. Well, everything was designed for male bodies. And not only that, like menstruation pads, this year was the first time they used blood. Before they were using, I don't know, any other liquid like water. What it matters.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, and that are kind of details, maybe because I'm a woman, it affects me more, and then I'm conscious about. But that's the problem, like we are not conscious about other minorities, but it affects a lot, especially with drug trials. We all know that women have hormonal cycles, so our body changes. So they only test drug when the woman is like in one part of the face that it's more similar to the man. Because if not, when they are trying drugs, they have side effects they were not expecting. It's way more difficult actually to investigate because it's not something stable. That actually it's maybe a problem of Western science, that it's like the scientific method, because you need like stable conditions to be capable to prove. So actually women are discarded, and after happens what it happens. And I guess that it's not only women, humans are diverse, and usually when they are doing research, they are also considering like a group, like ethnic group, that after you see like a lot of values, especially with cholesterol, sugar, blood pressure, actually between ethnic groups, it's changed a lot. Most of the things are tested in white people, for white people, better to say, but actually like it's not the same the high blood pressure levels white person can deal with it, and that the ones that like Asian or other ethnics can deal, and that it was like a lot of proven like in USA, because they are like way more diverse. For example, Black population have more kidney problems, etc. And when you don't have that considerations, you could do a misdiagnosed very severe, and that is just like for health, but that is applied to everything.
Yeah, that's true. And I think healthcare is one of the biggest industry in the world. And a lot of pharma scientific companies are basically developing solution for
Because
that.
are the
So yeah, it's
profitable
worth
ones.
mentioning. It is very profitable, correct? Yeah, but DeSci, I think the focus of DeSci is not really profit, right? More.
Yes, one part, yes. All the private investigation, it focuses in the privacy. And it's again the different science between the North Hemisphere and the South Hemisphere, we could say. A lot of the private research from DeSci, it's being focused right now in longevity, but I guess that is highly profitable. The same for hair DAO. If
You
they
think so?
find actually, I
Yeah,
mean, if hair DAO is capable to find the cure to baldness, they are going to be one of the most rich DAOs in the world.
Okay, I don't know how to categorize these problems. I guess these are like there's a term in economics school, wicked problem. Wicked is a problem that is very hard to tackle, but you know the problem, but you don't have a clear solution, or maybe you can't really make a company out of it. As in, you cannot make a for-profit company to, let's say, you want to build a for-profit company for longevity, because well, nobody has actually invented like the hardcore longevity or immortality, like what you see in the sci-fi or maybe in DC Marvel's movie yet. So you can't really make money or profit off of that, right? So I feel like DeSci is very apt or suitable for those type of problems, with very wicked problems where it's like an open-ended problem, right? Just waiting for people to tackle. And of course, like when you pull in resources from all over the world as well, also maybe amplify the impact. So
yeah, there is different cases because it's what you were just mentioning. Like usually until you get like a vaccine, maybe you have had like 20 research trials until you get the correct one or the good one. So it's like how then like you are going to make money from it because science lose money and make money, but at the end it's a public good. And once they found like the
wait,
vaccine,
vitality is probably good? You think vitality is probably good?
no, not vitality,
Yeah.
but vitality, but I guess like science itself, like
Science,
the
yeah.
essence of
Science probably
science,
good for sure, yeah.
it's a public good. Of course, like there is private research because you have intellectual property, then you have the rights on what you found. But we'll see. I guess that you can make, of course, a business of it. Pharmas have proven that. Also, cosmetics, like all the beauty um, industry, extremely huge, and at the end, it's science and it's research. So definitely, you can make money. I think that this side it will have that kind of financial part of it. I think that we are not yet that because we are too early. I feel that this I needs still like 4 or 5 years to kick off a little bit because it's too early. And on the other hand, I guess the big part of it is going to be public good and with maybe public funding or quality funding to public research and also like helping universities maybe for especially in countries, well, also like in developed countries, universities face a lot of problems. But in like second world, third world countries, universities, I guess that this can make a big change in the reality.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm more excited about the open aspect of DeSci of it, as in the public good. Yeah, because I feel like
Me
if you,
too,
yeah, that's the whole thing
but
about Web3 ethos, right? Keeping a lot of the things open source and sharing and collaborating with people from all over the world to solve some specific wicked problems, as opposed to just building a company. But of course, if you're someone who discover, how do you decide who would profit from it, right? When you are like, it's a team or community effort, right? Open source stuff. It's very hard to, yeah.
or even if it's not public source, like it can help actually to fund their own research, to keep researching. So, for example, if the intellectual property is owned by the team or the university, it's not lost there, they can use that actually benefits to keep doing research. And that's the point, like making sure that actually the fundings that are arriving to the research, they keep in the research, despite like they might make some benefit from it, but any earning goes back to more research. I get that for me, it's what you were saying, like it's pretty exciting about, and most of people will value it. But I guess that we need time to see actually what happens.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to how the DeSci will turn out in the next couple of years. Like I said, it's still very much under the radar, and I think a lot of these DAO, so company running DeSci protocols, also lack funding as well. So right, obviously that's why they're trying to operate as a DAO, maybe to do some fundraising and gather community
Yeah,
support. Yeah,
yeah.
awesome.
Beta had a very good fundraising outcome.
Okay, so are they doing tokens, or is
Well,
it
it's
just
a
like,
DAO, so it's a token,
oh, okay, so they
but
have a
it's the
token?
DAO
I see.
token. Yeah. For example, here it's Beta DAO, and they got like 4.2 millions in research, and they have got like almost like more than 6 millions in liquid funds. And another example would be also that we have mentioned this project is like Molecule, and you can see in their webpage also that they have almost 2 millions in funding. So of course these numbers, if you compare like with DeFi, it's nothing. And in the ecosystem there is more than 30 million, but it's nothing for the ecosystem if you compare with DeFi that you have a lot. But I guess it's just starting. So I feel that from more funding will come, especially to the private one. And I guess we have to fight so public science is not forgotten again.
Yeah, I think so too. Anyway, well, look forward to see how the whole DeSci ecosystem will evolve in the future. And I think once people realize the potential of the advancing science through decentralized science or through the power of the blockchain and Web3 technologies, then I think more people will probably come in. I think we're very early. We'll take maybe 1 or 2 more cycles. So I think that's a good wrap for this episode, right? Any final last word you want to say? And maybe
Just
any topics you want to talk about next time?
No, but we will see. I'm not thinking about any topic in specific. I guess we can talk later. Just don't forget about subscribe, give like, and see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.